and James Rodriguez to wind back the clock in ways that he was in 2024, where he was the Copa America player of the tournament.
Colombia, against every prediction, stormed through the group stage unbeaten, finishing top of their group and locking in qualification. A 0-0 draw with Portugal might look quiet on paper, but it was packed with tension, grit, and pure character. A battle built on discipline, structure, and heart. It felt like a match played with a cold mind, a burning spirit, and 50 million Colombians roaring from every corner of the nation, pushing them forward. Colombia competed, Colombia resisted, Colombia earned the result, and Colombia are still alive in this World Cup battle. This team does not walk alone at all. Behind them is a whole nation, believing, shouting, and dreaming louder every second. And honestly, Colombia were not just surviving against Portugal, they looked sharper, stronger, and even more dangerous in stretches of the game. From start to finish, Nestor Lorenzo's tactical plan kept them organized, pressing at the right moments and controlling key spaces. Looking ahead, Ghana awaits in the round of 32, then Switzerland likely in the round of 16, and maybe Argentina in a quarter-final clash. So, yes, Colombia have a real shot at making history, because this generation carries power and belief. Start with Camilo Vargas, one of the standout goalkeepers of this World Cup. Don Camilo has already pulled off one of the tournament's biggest saves against Bruno Fernandes. Colombia have a keeper, a serious one. Then look at that defense line. Davinson Sanchez and John Lucumi have been an absolute wall in this World Cup, solid defensively, fierce in duels, and even dangerous when pushing forward. Davinson actually scored against Portugal, but the goal was ruled out for an offside so tight it almost felt criminal. One of the harshest disallowed goals of the entire tournament, and it sparked serious debate everywhere. And out on the flanks, Colombia have options everywhere you look. Santiago Arias has been absolutely outstanding for Colombia. What a footballer! What a fullback he is! Once again, he showed he is more than ready for the highest level, proving he belongs on the biggest stage. Without that terrible injury years ago, we might be talking about the greatest right-back in Colombian history. A truly legendary career lost to setbacks. Against Portugal, he shut down Nuno Mendes, Rafael Leão, and even Cristiano Ronaldo with real authority and sharp reading of the game. He defended with intelligence, won duels with control and aggression, and still found moments to push forward and create chances. His timing, calmness, and competitiveness looked elite from start to finish. On the left side, John Mojica is still a solid quality player, but David Machado has stepped in and made a huge statement in this World Cup race. In just one match, he delivered more impact than Mojica managed across 2 games combined. 4 duels won, 5 defensive actions, 2 interceptions, 0 dribbles allowed, and 1 key pass. That is exactly how you force your way into the starting 11. Then there is Daniel Munoz, easily one of the most underrated right-backs in world football right now. Who was the MVP across the season when Crystal Palace lifted their first ever title in club history? Daniel Munoz. Who was the MVP in the FA Cup final when Crystal Palace shocked Pep Guardiola's Manchester City? Daniel Munoz. Who was a key figure when Crystal Palace claimed their first European trophy in history? Daniel Munoz. Who played a major role in the Community Shield win over Liverpool? Daniel Munoz. Who got voted into the Premier League fan team of the season? Daniel Munoz. And who scored in his first 2 World Cup matches, matching Cristiano Ronaldo's goal tally in this tournament? Daniel Munoz. So when people talk about Achraf Hakimi, Denzel Dumfries, and the top right-backs in the world, don't forget Don Daniel Munoz, shining in the toughest league in football with Crystal Palace, shining on the international stage with Colombia, and rising in every big moment with no fear at all. He is not just a fullback, he is a fullback with the soul and instincts of a winger. And in midfield, Colombia bring real bite, intelligence, and a touch of magic. Jefferson Lerma has been an absolute dog in this World Cup battle. Against Portugal, he helped keep Cristiano Ronaldo under control, fighting for every single ball and giving Colombia the physical edge they needed to survive the pressure. Juan Fernando Quintero is still the type of player who can flip a match with just one touch of brilliance. And then there is James Rodriguez, the Colombian brain, a player who completely transforms whenever he wears the Colombia shirt. And in this 2026 World Cup, Nothing about that has changed. James continues to create danger, control rhythm, and remind everyone why he becomes something different with his national team, game after game. But be very careful with Gustavo Puerta. People came to watch Vitinha, they came to watch João Neves, they came to watch Cristiano Ronaldo, and they ended up watching Gustavo Puerta, the quality of silence. He does not need tricks. He does not need colored hair. He does not need noise on social media. His power is in the ball, his calmness, his timing, his passing, his understanding, all shown with complete control. Respect South American football. Respect Colombia. And up front, this team has real warriors on display. Luis Diaz is the best left winger on the planet right now. 26 goals and 23 assists this season. And at this World Cup, he already has 1 goal and 1 assist. In all 3 matches, he has been a constant danger. But Luchito is not alone. The Colombian attack is loaded with weapons on every side. And today, the world met El Motorcito, John Arias. The global press is finally asking the question, who is this guy? Yes, the same player who destroyed the Club World Cup last year, the same player who was MVP of that tournament, and now the same player who was one of the figures of the match against Portugal. John Arias is a world-class footballer, a player blessed with magic, fantasy, movement, and flair, but also with ridiculous physical output and endless repeated efforts on the pitch. Against Portugal, he was one of Colombia's best players. 4 key passes, 28 of 31 passes completed, 3 recoveries, 3 duels won, a wall in defense. Colombia's best player in attack is John Arias, always reliable, always moving, always pushing forward with non-stop energy and danger every time he touches the ball. El Motorcito, and we cannot ignore Luis Suarez either, a striker who scored 38 goals this season and came inches away from scoring against Portugal. Then there is Cucho Hernandez. And if we talk heart, Cucho earned respect and love from every football fan around the world. Minute 98 against Uzbekistan, Cucho fought for a loose ball near the corner flag. He took contact and went down. Most players would have stayed on the ground, waited for the foul and burned the final seconds. But not Cucho. He got back up, protected the ball, kept fighting, and produced a spectacular assist. Jaminton Campaz completed the comeback and scored the winning goal for Colombia. The goal belonged to Campaz, but the move that moved the entire stadium came from Cucho Hernandez. And then there is John Cordoba. Against Portugal, he was tremendous. In 1v1 duels, he was a bull. Portuguese defenders could not handle his strength. Diogo Costa had to produce his best saves to keep out his shots. A proper Colombian warrior. So yes, this Colombia has everything. A goalkeeper in form, a defensive wall, fullbacks who defend and attack, midfielders with bite, calmness and creativity. Luis Diaz at superstar level, John Arias becoming a global name, strikers who fight, score, assist and bully defenders, and a manager who has given this team structure, courage and belief. Colombia are not just here to participate, Colombia are here to make history. And honestly, the World Cup has a Colombia problem. Don't believe me? Take a look at this. Colombia have one mission at this World Cup, to surpass what they did in Brazil 2014. Because for Colombian football, 2014 is not just a memory, it is the standard. After years away from the World Cup since France 1998, Colombia returned to the biggest stage under José Pekerman, with one of the most exciting generations in their history. And even without their biggest star at the time, Radamel Falcao, who missed the tournament with a ligament injury, that team produced the greatest World Cup campaign Colombia had ever seen. That squad had everything. David Ospina in goal, Zúñiga, Yepes, Armero, La Roca Sanchez, Aguilar, Guarín, Cuadrado, James Rodriguez, Teo Gutiérrez, Jackson Martinez, Juan Fernando Quintero, and many more. And with Falcao absent, the attack needed a new leader. James Rodriguez took that role and turned it into one of the most iconic individual performances in modern World Cup history. Colombia were drawn into Group C and started with a statement. A 3-0 win over Greece with goals from Armero, Teófilo Gutiérrez and James. Then came Ivory Coast. Another win, 2-1. Another James goal and another from Juan Fernando Quintero. By the third match, Colombia had already announced themselves to the world, but they still had one more show to put on. Against Japan, they won 4-1, with goals from Cuadrado, Jackson Martinez twice, and James once again. That result sealed Colombia's best ever group stage campaign. 3 matches, 3 wins, 9 points. Then came Uruguay in the round of 16 at the Maracanã, and James Rodriguez produced a moment that will live forever. He scored twice, but the first goal was something else entirely. Outside the box, he controlled Abel Aguilar's pass with his chest, turned and unleashed a left-footed strike that crashed off the underside of the bar and beat Fernando Muslera. The best goal of the tournament, the goal that confirmed James as one of the faces of Brazil 2014. Colombia reached the quarterfinals for the first time in their history, and then came Brazil in Fortaleza, a match soaked in controversy and still talked about for the refereeing of Spanish official Velasco Carballo. Colombia lost 2-1 after goals from Thiago Silva and David Luiz, in a night full of tension and heated moments. And although James scored from the penalty spot, the dream ended right there, brutally and painfully. But that team had already changed Colombian football forever. Now, in this World Cup, Colombia want even more, and this time the man in charge is Nestor Lorenzo. Lorenzo was announced by the Colombian Football Federation in June 2022 after the pain of missing the Qatar World Cup hit hard. From the beginning, his mission was crystal clear: rebuild a wounded team and take Colombia back to where it belonged on the world stage. The highest point of his era before this World Cup came at the Copa America in the United States. Colombia reached the final, and the title only slipped away against Lionel Messi's Argentina, the champions of everything at the time. Until that final, Colombia had gone 28 matches unbeaten, 25 of them under Lorenzo, the longest undefeated run in the entire history of the national team. A truly massive achievement. But after that Copa America runners-up finish, Colombia turned their focus back to World Cup qualifying, and that road was anything but easy. The Cafeteros finished third in the table with 28 points from 54 available after 6 wins, 7 draws, and 4 defeats. At first, everything looked under control and even dominant at times. By October 10th, 2024, Colombia was still unbeaten in qualifying and had already delivered historic results, like beating Brazil at home for the first time with 2 brilliant goals from Luis Diaz, and also defeating reigning champions Argentina with goals from Yerson Mosquera and James Rodriguez in a statement performance. But then came the warning sign that shook things up. Bolivia defeated Colombia 1-0 in El Alto, despite playing with 1 man less from the 20th minute, a result that stunned many fans. It was match day 9, the halfway point of qualifying, and suddenly questions started appearing. At first, it looked like one of those strange football nights where nothing goes your way at all, especially because on match day 10, Colombia responded immediately with a strong 4-0 win over Chile, showing resilience and fight again. But then, the problems returned. 3 consecutive defeats against Uruguay, Ecuador, and Brazil, followed by 3 draws against Paraguay, Peru, and Argentina. From late 2024 to mid-2025, it became painfully clear that Lorenzo's Colombia had lost something important. The spark was fading, the confidence was shaken, and the machine had noticeably slowed down. Then came short signs of recovery. A 4-0 win over Mexico, victories over New Zealand, including sharp sequences built from Maria's passing into the edge of the penalty area, and a strong win over Australia. For a moment, the feeling came back, but uncertainty returned again with 2 heavy defeats against elite opponents: Luka Modric's Croatia and the France of Kylian Mbappe and Michael Olise. After those results, almost nobody imagined what is happening now at the World Cup could become real. Now we have to talk about what Colombia are actually doing on the pitch at this World Cup, because this is not just passion, not just momentum. This is a serious tactical team. Colombia usually start in a 4-2-3-1, but under Nestor Lorenzo that shape constantly shifts depending on game phase and opponent strength. Against elite teams, the goal is clear: balance attack and defense without losing aggression. One of the most common adjustments is the wide players dropping deeper to form a 5-3-2 with wing-backs, 3 centre-backs, and strong central protection. In other moments, Colombia cluster their interiors next to the pivot and build a 4-3-1-2, giving James Rodriguez or Juan Fernando Quintero freedom between the lines. But the scary part is, Lorenzo doesn't only use these structures to defend, he uses them to attack as well. The clearest example is how Colombia's fullbacks appear inside the box, like extra forwards. Look at Daniel Muñoz's goal against Uzbekistan. The opposition centre-backs were fixed by Luis Suarez and Luis Diaz. That opened a channel, and Muñoz attacked it like a right-sided interior, timing his run perfectly, arriving behind the defence and finishing with a brilliant strike. That was not random at all. That was a pattern. Against Congo in the 3rd minute, the same idea showed up again, like déjà vu on the pitch. The African defenders were locked in man-to-man duels with Colombia's attackers, leaving Daniel Muñoz completely free in space. After a quick triangle between Mojica, Luis Diaz and John Arias, the shot was saved, but Muñoz arrived totally alone for the rebound and almost scored again. 2 minutes later, it happened again. Congo's centre-backs were fixed by Luis Suarez. Mojica spotted it instantly and played a long diagonal pass from the three-quarter zone into the box. Muñoz arrived unmarked, headed it, forced a huge save, attacked the rebound and even scored, but the goal was later ruled out. Then came the real, tactical madness. Juan Fernando Quintero slipped the ball into John Cordoba, and Cordoba, with insane football IQ, protected it and let it roll perfectly. Muñoz attacked the empty space, arrived completely alone, and finished with calm freedom. Goal. That is Colombia under Lorenzo. Movements built with purpose and timing. Fullbacks running from blind spots, attackers dragging defenders out of position, midfielders reading the exact second to release the pass. Against elite pressure, Colombia still find ways to break lines and punish mistakes. This also showed up against Portugal. Santiago Arias pushed high on the right, attacked the space behind Nuno Mendes, and delivered a calm cross to Luis Suarez, who was inches away from scoring. Almost immediately, Arias overlapped John Arias inside the box. John saw the run, returned it smartly, and Santiago had just enough space to shoot again. Again, Colombia were right there, flirting with the goal. This is exactly why they are dangerous. They do not just attack with forwards, they attack with structure. Lorenzo's side are built to dominate through high-pressing, vertical football and the sharp creativity of their midfielders. Luis Diaz's goal against Uzbekistan is the perfect example of how it all clicks together. Colombia pressed aggressively in the opponent's half, with John Arias and Gustavo Puerta suffocating the ball carrier in tight spaces. Colombia recovered the ball high up the pitch and instantly turned it into a 4 versus 3 attacking situation. Puerta carried the ball at controlled speed, waited for Lucho to open his body and shape the shooting angle, then delivered the perfect pass. Luis Diaz did the rest with pure quality. Against Congo, the same formula almost produced another goal. John Arias attacked the build-up like a dog chasing the ball, poked it forward into Gustavo Puerta, and the move stayed alive with danger everywhere. Puerta found James on the flank, and the captain whipped a cross into the area. Luis Diaz arrived completely free, shot, and the Congo goalkeeper made a strong save. The rebound fell to Arias, who could not finish the chance. But the mechanism was already visible again. Pressure, recovery, verticality, and instant danger every time Colombia stepped forward. And when Colombia are not pressing, they still hurt teams through controlled possession. Lorenzo's team used short, precise passing to attract the opponent's block, then release the ball into wide channels at the right moment. They build triangles between pivots, the attacking midfielder, and the forwards, moving opponents until space opens up. They have shown this pattern since the first match with constant sharp movement. James Rodriguez dropped into midfield, changed the rhythm, linked with John Arias, and Arias quickly spotted Luis Diaz's diagonal run. One pass into space, and Colombia were inches away from scoring, with Lucho's effort crashing against the post in a huge moment. John Arias remains the peak of these combinations, giving a true clinic against Congo. In one sequence, he combined with Luis Suarez and Luis Diaz, leaving the winger from Bayern in a dangerous box position. Lucho used body feints to open a shooting lane, but the goalkeeper denied him again in a dramatic stop. Against Portugal, Colombia showed that same fluid movement again. David Machado pushed high into the opponent's half, linked into Jefferson Lerma, who was completely free in midfield, and Lerma switched the play cleanly into James Rodriguez. James waited patiently for John Arias to time his run, then slipped the pass at the perfect moment, allowing John to burst into the box and shoot first time with confidence. Ruben Neves had to clear it right off the line. That moment shows exactly why Colombia's possession game matters so much. Those quick triangles don't just move the ball, they pull defenders out and open space for players who can strike from distance. James has searched for that kind of shot all tournament long, always looking to punish teams from range. Gustavo Puerta has also shown that when space opens, his left foot can be dangerous and sharp. Mojica has tested it too, and against deep defensive blocks, that becomes a serious weapon in Colombia's arsenal, forcing teams to stay honest and not just sit back. But maybe the most dangerous piece of Colombia's creative structure is Juan Fernando Quintero. James gives control and rhythm, but Juanfer is the one who flips matches instantly when he comes on. His assist against Congo completely changed the tempo of the game, and against Portugal he delivered another assist that really should have counted. His left foot can place the ball anywhere he wants on the pitch. Juanfer is not just a luxury option at all, he is one of Colombia's sharpest attacking weapons. All of this works because Colombia's attackers never stop moving. Luis Diaz is the clearest example of that energy. His diagonal runs inside, his ability to shake defenders and attack the box have already brought him goals in this tournament. Against Congo, he was also inches away from another that got ruled out. Every time Lucho finds space, Colombia instantly turn dangerous and aggressive in attack. But the defensive block matters just as much. Davinson Sanchez and John Lucumi have been absolutely imperial, winning duels, stepping in with aggression, staying calm under pressure, and dominating the box like true leaders. And behind them, Camilo Vargas has been massive. Yes, in the first match he made a mistake, but since then he has responded like a top goalkeeper who grew into the tournament. Against Congo in the final minutes, he produced a low save worth 3 huge points for Colombia. And against Portugal, he delivered what might be the save of the tournament so far, denying Bruno Fernandes's thunderous strike. That is exactly why this Colombia feels so complete and dangerous. High press, vertical attacks, short passing combinations, fullbacks flying into the box, creative midfielders, danger from distance, Luis Diaz destroying space, a solid defensive block, and a goalkeeper producing tournament-defining saves. Nestor Lorenzo has built a very serious tactical system for this team. Colombia are right there with Argentina and Ecuador as one of the strongest CONMEBOL sides at this World Cup, and the most important thing is they can go toe-to-toe with anyone. Colombia want to make history, and honestly, they absolutely can. Before you go, make sure to like, subscribe, share and comment your thoughts on Colombia's chances.